This is episode 9. I was starting to think that, Ryan, you'd never come back to us.
I'm back.
Back. You heard him. All right, well, let's, you know what, boys? We have a couple of things to talk about tonight. So far, we're going to get into some injuries at first. We're going to talk about how Melnyk basically ripped on everybody. Talking about the Eastern Conference playoff race. Oh, yeah. And then we're going to go on a huge rant about the Leafs. Like, we're going to go on a huge rant about the Leafs, Cameron and I. So let's start off with some of the injuries. Ryan, when you were at Penguins practice earlier in the week, you noticed that Kris Letang wasn't there.
Day-to-day, upper body injury. I think it's mainly a little bit injury from Stadium Series nagging with them, and them wanting to hold him out till playoffs. I think the same thing with Malkin. I think Malkin could have been playing this whole time, but I think they just want to hold him out. Make sure he's okay when playoffs come around.
I hope that's the case because, you know what, if Pittsburgh's lost him long term, that might just be the end of the line for him. I mean, like, honestly, he's had so many injuries in his career. I don't know if this. I'm going to be honest with you here. At this point, I would consider retirement. Because
I think if the Penguins win it all this year, Letang could consider retirement.
I hope.
I think Malkin will stay.
Yeah, Malkin will stay. Malkin's going to stay for another couple of seasons, and then he's going to go.
He'll stay till his contract's up,
and then he's going to probably retire, or maybe sign with another team. So, but yeah, hoping that it's going to be nothing too serious. But either way, you know, Letang's he's a brilliant defenseman. You know, he's in the Norris conversation again this year. So who knows? Hey, it could be one of two ways. Either he's going to be out for a long period of time, or he's just out day to day. I know he's listed as day to day now, but I don't know how serious the injury is. Yeah. Either way. So speaking of injuries.
Other injury news from the Penguins, Ole Motto will be a game time decision tomorrow night. So it's nice to have him back, especially around this time of year.
I'm going to say something about the Letang injuries. So I think his injury prone like self started when he got injured when he had a herniated disc. I think that's when it got
from Shane Down, right?
Yes, that's when it really, really started to go downhill for Kris Letang.
For sure.
Absolutely, and you know what? Anytime you get hit like that,
he was never the same. He was never the same after that surgery.
He wasn't the same.
He was out for like a whole season, and he was never the same.
No, after the hit by Bone, he was out for the playoffs, which kind of screwed us that year. We could have won the cup that year, but Letang got injured, and we got knocked out round 1 by the Rangers.
All right, so in other news, Cameron, Ryan, we got some good news on the Leafs injury front. We've just received word today that Jake Gardner is back practicing full time in Leafs practice. And the Travis Dermott's been progressing as well. Thank God.
Yep. And Travis Dermott is cleared for contact. Jake Gardner is not cleared for contact. That is all we know.
Gardner's still making progress. You know, he's been out for an extensive period of time with back spasms, as we know.
Yep.
But Travis Dermott, he's finally back, ready to play full contact. So he should be hopefully back in the lineup in a couple of days. You know, we're going to need him for the playoffs.
Definitely.
Now with Gardner taking as much time as you need, I'm still not convinced that Gardner's going to come back.
I
think that this might be.
I think we've seen I think we've seen the last game for Jake Gardner as a Leaf.
I agree. You know what? And as much as I hate to say it, I think Gardner, he's played his last game as a Leaf. And you know what? Honestly, it sucks when you have that kind of injury, but, you know, that's just the way it has to go sometimes. You know, back spasms are a serious thing, too. So it's
very serious, yes.
You know, I don't think he's going to come back anytime soon. So, but it's good to see that Dermott is coming back. So we're definitely going to need him. And he's going to fit right in. I think he's going to fit right back into the lineup. You know, I would sit Hainsey. You know, at the beginning of the season, but glad to see the boys back, and hopefully that for the playoffs they're going to be ready to go, and then we actually do something. Moving on. Okay. Cameron, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Tyler?
I'm going to talk about the Senators owner, Eugene Melnyk. So he was doing an interview on CFRA, CFRA 580, which is a radio station, and he was talking about how the Ottawa Senators, they're going into a rebuild stage. And then here's what he had to say about the Leafs. I'm from Toronto originally as well, Melnyk told Bill Carroll, an admitted Leafs fan. I've spent the past 15, 16 years now owning the Senators, and since then, I've dropped that affiliation very quickly. So basically, he disowns himself as a Torontonian. That's the first thing he said. And this is that kind of hits because it's just like, why would you be disowning the place that you're from? And then here's what he said about the Leafs rebuild, and this is just, I laughed my ass off when I heard this at first. Cameron, Ryan Cameron, you know what this guy had to say? This is the quote from Sportsnet when they did the interview with him. So he said, "Look, they're stuck. They cannot." Okay, I better not say that. I better not say what I was going to say. They're going to have a tough time winning a Stanley Cup without defense because they're hitting the cap. They can't bring anybody new in, so they're stuck. And that's where they have to be extremely careful. Mistakes were made. Somebody forgot about defense. End quote.
Don't they have like $13 million in cap space still?
Yeah, they do.
Most of it's gonna go to Marner, obviously. But still. We've got good prospects.
We still have enough money to still.
I mean, you also have some good defensive prospects.
Like Marner, I don't know if Eugene Melnyk is really stupid, but I don't know if he's been reading stuff. But Marner is willing to take a pay cut.
But for how much? I mean,
for how much though? Exactly.
It's just the fact that it doesn't even annoy me the fact that he said that. It's just the fact that he needs to keep his mouth shut because he was ripping the mayor of Ottawa as well. He told people, or he told who he was being interviewed with, that he needs to be very careful. So that sounds like a threat to me. Melnyk needs to keep his mouth shut. And you know what he said also? Apparently the key for the Senators in gaining their fans back is to identify quote unquote real Sens fans.
I can't
do that
believe
when you have no fan base. When your fan base has completely abandoned you because your GM has traded Erik Karlsson, Matt Duchene, Ryan Dzingel, Mark Stone. You basically traded your entire roster. So how the hell are you going to gain back any fans that you lost?
I don't know.
Nick Kachuk's not going to support your fan base. Thomas Chabot's not going to be enough. Sure, those are two names. Erik Brandstrom's going to be the next Erik Karlsson. You're building for the future. But right now, that team hasn't made money in God knows how long. They've never really had real fans that go to the games. I
don't care if Eugene Melnyk is listening to this in any capacity. Eugene, your team is a dumpster fire. You need to get the hell out of Ottawa and let somebody else own this team, all right? Because you're doing nothing with this team.
You know what? And it's getting ridiculous because what I've seen over the past few years, every Senators game that I watch on TV, either the arena's half empty or it's filled with 90% of the other team's fan base. Because think about this. If you see Toronto Maple Leafs fans going into Ottawa, they're going to watch the game because it's like their second home. It's like the Scotiabank Arena 2.0. Exactly. It is the most amusing thing as a Leafs fan to see because it's funny. Because you would have thought, oh yeah, they're going to have fans. Oh. Their fans left when they got eliminated from the playoffs.
And
when Kris Letang scored.
Really left.
Or sorry, yeah, when Chris Kunitz scored.
Karlsson.
And ruined their franchise.
And then they really left when the icing on the cake when they traded Erik Karlsson.
And that's when I think fans just had enough then. Like, what else is going to have to happen? That team hasn't, and you know what? You go back as far as like 2013. And they still weren't having they still don't have a great fan base. They don't have great attendance records. They haven't since God knows when.
I don't know. But I know Ottawa is a really good team, and I know they're like a respected team. But Tyler, I know, and Ottawa fans, don't get salty. But I think it's time for a change of scenery.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this, Cameron. If they don't start filling up their arenas and actually generating revenue off this team, they're going to be the Quebec Nordiques 2.0. They're going to be the Atlanta Thrashers 2.0. They're going to either have to relocate or fold from the league. And I'm not apologizing for what I just said. It is the absolute truth. Eugene, if you're watching this right now, find a way to get players on your team, or it's not going to exist in 2 years. Find a way to get fans to go to your games, or it's not going to exist in 2 years.
That team is blowing up super duper quick.
It's done. Like, what's done is done.
The franchise is over. Right now, that franchise is going out of business.
You know what?
The way it's looking.
And you know what? They've made a couple of moves in the past that I'm just not thrilled with, especially with Pierre Dorion. He fired Guy Boucher. Boucher is a good coach. Why they did it, I don't know.
Mark Crawford. I don't know why they have Mark Crawford in there. The man hasn't coached in like at least 12 years, and he just has no experience anymore because the game has changed.
I know.
And how are they doing right now? Oh, I know. Piss poor.
It's terrible. Like, that franchise is in desperate need of, first off, a new general manager, Pierre Dorion. He's made his fair share of trades, but not all of them have been good ones.
Mark Crawford has seen his day as a head coach. His coaching days are done.
You know what, Mark Crawford, I don't know who they're going to hire as their head coach on the offseason, but I hope it's somebody who knows what they're doing. Eugene Melnyk,
You don't want to know somebody who I really don't get why they fired? Paul McLean.
That's another name. Why did they fire Paul McLean?
That's another name of the Ottawa Senators coaches that had potential. Paul McLean. If Paul McLean was still there and that team was still running under his coaching ship, that team probably would probably still be successful, and Carlson would feel comfortable, and he would still be an Ottawa Senator right now.
And people ripped on Paul McLean because they thought he was such a bad coach. You have one bad season, or you get eliminated first round from the playoffs, and you fire your coach. Like, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that, if you get eliminated like 8 times in a row, like, look at Chuck Fletcher. He got released by the Minnesota Wild.
And Ottawa fans, I don't want to hear you say Corey Glutzen was a good coach. He was a terrible coach.
Yeah,
okay?
He was horrible. I'm not even
horrible.
gonna.
Guy Boucher, he was fine. He was okay.
Boucher was a great coach.
Right? But Paul McLean was the one that really, really got this team somewhere.
Paul McLean was the one who basically gave us hell in the Battle of Ontario in the Phil Kessel era.
Exactly.
He knew how to match up our lines against Randy Carlyle, against Ron Wilson, all the coaches that we had, that the Leafs had. Oh man!
Just imagine the coaches, some of the coaches that have passed away, and some of them that could have been really good for them in the past. Pat Burns, Pat Quinn. Just some of the guys.
I know. Bottom line is, don't fire your coach if you're having a bad season. It's not if it gets to the point where
it's not the coach's fault.
If you're getting to the point where you have to call your coach's job into question, that's one thing.
It wasn't Guy Boucher's fault.
But you know what? Life goes on. So if I had one word of advice from the Ottawa Senators, hire Dany Heatley as your general manager, because at this point nobody can save your franchise unless you get someone who knows what they're doing.
The All-Star himself, 50-07.
Honestly,
is the only one that could save your franchise.
Honestly,
right now, honestly.
That's ridiculous. But yeah,
or another one, Daniel Alfredson, make him your president. Get Eugene Melnyk out of there.
But I think
Daniel Alfredson the president.
That would be a great move, Cameron, and I'll tell you why. Because Daniel Alfredson, honestly, he's been with that franchise for so long.
The heart and soul.
And he's like basically the heart and soul of that team.
And soul of that foundation, of that franchise.
And he did so much for that franchise. And like why they wouldn't include him in even being, an assistant coach or anything like that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe he didn't want to coach, or maybe he didn't want a front office job. Make him your president of hockey operations. That's what I say. Because you need someone who knows the organization in and out and just knows what they're doing. Because Pierre Dorion, as much as I respect him and as good as I think he is, he's not the right guy for the job. Not anymore.
Maybe if you get somebody like Daniel Alfredson as your president, and you want to know who would be a great GM? Daryl Sutter.
What do you think, Ryan?
Daryl Sutter.
I think that Ottawa is going to be one of the worst teams in the league for a while, and for some reason they're still trusting Dorion with their rebuild. Don't really understand that, but okay. Whatever you think is best for the team. They don't have a first-round pick because they made a stupid trade where they gave away this year's instead of just giving Colorado last year's and keeping this year's. Now they're bottom of the league, don't have a first-round pick.
They're the ones who are in the stump. They're the ones who are stuck, not the Leafs. All right, you know what? We've got 6 minutes left. Let's go on a rant about the Leafs. All right, we're done ranting about the Senators. That stuff's in the past. We'll come back to that at a later date.
No, Tyler, I'm getting this started. All right,
go ahead.
Let's start this. What the hell is going on in Leafland, Tyler? What is going on?
Well, I can tell you what's going on. They're not playing freaking defense like they need to. I get it that your guys are out.
No, they're not. They're not. They're not. They're just sitting on their asses, watching players just fly by them, and they're just scoring. And what is Anderson doing, huh? What is he doing? Nothing.
He's bailing them out.
He's doing nothing.
Cameron, here's what I'm saying. He's bailing them out. I don't know.
Babcock. I don't care. Let me keep going. Going. Babcock, he needs to sit Anderson. He looks like he has like thousands of freaking injuries. Literally. The guy looks fatigued. They need to sit him for the rest of the season. I don't need to put it. I don't need to put it in other words. Anderson's season is done. Sit him until the playoffs.
I agree. Now, can I take this? Like, can I take it over?
Go ahead.
All right. I want to say this. Babcock, as smart as you are, sit Freddie for the rest of the damn season. He's exhausted. He's played over 60 games this year. You need him for the playoffs. He can't be playing every single game for your franchise or else he's going to get burnt out. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Our defense, good God. Why didn't you Kyle Dubas didn't trade for anybody at the deadline. We could have enhanced our defense a little bit, but I guess he was confident in the way that they were playing. If we keep playing like this right now, there is no playoffs. We're not even going to last 4 games. I'll tell you this, if they don't smarten up, they're going to get swept. And I'm being 100% honest here. Because if Anderson keeps playing, he's going to get burned out for the playoffs. And who are you going to play in the playoffs? Sparks? You really think Sparks is going to bail us out?
Sparks has the experience? You think Sparks has the experience in the playoffs? Let alone against Boston? Are you out of your freaking mind?
Can't.
They're going to blow us. We're going to be in Schitt's Creek. We're going to be losing games like 6-3, like 8-3, 8-0.
You know what? People often tell me, be grateful. You have a team who's third place in the standings. That's the freaking problem. We're third place in the freaking standings. We're like 9 points behind Boston. We could have had home ice advantage earlier in the season if we just played a little bit smarter, but no. You know what? Again, I respect Babcock, but sit Anderson. Don't play him another game, or so help me, I will march down to the ACC and I will jump on the ice and play goalie myself.
The ACC, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm calling it the ACC. I don't care. All right, screw Scotiabank Arena. Corporate don't mean anything. That's the ACC is always going to be my arena. I will come down there myself, strap on a pair of goalie equipment, and I will play in the playoffs for Freddie. Bottom line,
no, it'll be like
play defense smartly. just play defense smart. Get Ron Hainsey out of the freaking lineup. He needs to retire after the season. I'm sorry, but his days of playing are done. You can tell he's exhausted.
Hainsey looks like Hainsey looks like a freaking pylon out there.
Well, it's not even that, Cameron. He looks exhausted. Like, he's not as fast as he used to be. He's good on the penalty kill, but
the man's 38 years old.
The guy's got to consider retirement at this point.
Turning 40 in 2 years.
He's
got a family.
This is it.
Like, got a family, man. Just spend time with your family. Just hang up the skates. Hockey's not for you anymore. Your body's deteriorating. You're done. You've had all your Stanley Cups. You're good.
And the fact that the Leafs need to trade for somebody at the draft or in the offseason. Like, exactly. Get Gardner out of here. Because
Jake Gardner, see you later.
Because you know what, honestly, I probably would have re-signed Gardner, but his injuries are just it's too much. He's not going to be the same Jake that we know.
Plus, he's going to be asking for like $5 million a year. You honestly think that's worth it? No.
We've got to figure our stuff out.
Absolutely.
Bottom line is the Leafs just have to figure out what they're going to do. And we wouldn't be saying this. We wouldn't be saying any of this if we were like fans of the other team. So trust me.
And if Babcock keeps playing Anderson and he keeps getting more tired and we go up and we start up a series against Boston, God help us.
God help us.
God help us. It's probably going to be the first game. You're probably looking at a 7-0 final. Game 2, you're looking at a 10-0 final. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Either way, just play smart. Just your next 5 games. Your next 5 games, the last games of the regular season, just play smart. All right, guys. That's going to do it for this episode of Proshot, episode 9. We do still have one more episode left to go of this week, and that's going to be up next. We're going to do the playoff push. We're going to do the Hurricanes, some news from there. We're going to do the nominees for the Masterton Trophy, and so on and so forth. So this has been your Leafs rant, injury report, and basically ripping on the Senators a little bit because why not? So once again, guys, this has been your host, Tyler Rains, along with Ryan Gatto and Cameron Reeser. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you really liked it. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook. Like our profile. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter, which they will be in the description. And we will see you guys for the next episode. Thank you very much.
If you subscribe, make sure to hit that bell so you get notified whenever we post a video.